What's up, guys? I hope you guys enjoyed this most recent Evo as much as I did. I always love Evo. Last year, of course, seeing Leffen win in Melee was probably the highlight for me. And, I was definitely down to watch some MKLeo. And, funnily enough, Tweak played so good that I really think that he could have won if he just stayed calm. And it was awesome to see Pokemon Trainer do so well because I love playing Pokemon Trainer. It's probably my second best character in the game right now. And I really would like to make Pokemon Trainer my first best, but it's kind of hard mastering three characters for all the different matchups. But either way, I still love playing that character, and I'm not the best of the game anyway, so I don't mind losing. But really cool to see Smash Ultimate, and of course Dragon Ball Fighters. Oh my god, Sonic Fox versus Goichi. Those two going at it is always fun to watch, and seeing Goichi win Evo and how much it meant to him, that was definitely pretty freaking cool. And it was literally a rematch of last year's Evo, which, again, it's Sonic Fox and Goichi. They're like the best two at Dragon Ball Fighters, so, they're definitely the big two rivals here. So it was really cool to see them like hugging it out, just like how actual Dragon Ball Z rivals would do in the show. Really cool to see that, and then to get right into it, I want to talk about Mii costume theory for a little bit. Now, is Mii costume theory dead in the water? Is Mii costume theory no longer viable? Because the whole premise behind Mii costume theory was that we'd most likely get a Square Enix character, and that way we could bring back the Chocobo hat and the Geno costume. Well, no Geno Mii costume or Chocobo hat is anywhere near in sight. Now, when it came to the costumes for Joker, we mostly got new Mii Fighter costumes with with also the two past ones being Tails and Knuckles. Now, it's really good that Tails and Knuckles are back because they shouldn't have been cut in the first place. But, if they're why you don't need to make a new Tails and a new Knuckles Mii Fighter costume. Just include those old ones. That's a really cool way to include more content from Sonic without putting in characters from Sonic. But the thing is that a lot of us like characters from Mega Man that were included in Smash 4 as DLC, and a lot of us liked stuff included like Geno. A lot of people, they couldn't play as Geno, but they could at least make a Geno Mii Fighter, so at least there's that. But, we can't even get the Geno Mii Fighter this time. That sucks, but I don't know. But it's definitely not coming with Hero. Hero is by himself. He's only the Mii Fighter stuff is all Dragon Quest related. No other Square Enix related content. So this is when it becomes tricky because does this mean that Mii Fighter costume theory is completely deleted and dead in the water? Well, it's so hard to call. It's so hard to call to the point where it's it really could go either way in my opinion, and that's not good. And the reason why it's not good is because I don't want people to grasp at straws. Even if they no, that means Mii Fighter theory is still on. That means we can still predict things. No. I'm not into getting particular characters just because I want them. I'm not into getting, anything like that. I want characters. I want to be able to predict these things, right? And so sometimes you can find a pattern and make it work. But a lot of the times, that doesn't seem to be the case. I was able to pick apart reasons why Joker could get in the game, and he was the first character who I said, hey, a lot of people are saying this character's impossible. I think it's actually entirely possible and reasonable to expect something like Joker for Smash, and I definitely did not expect him to be the first one announced. I was really happy to see that, but he was a character who I would have, gone on for a long time. If he wasn't the first character announced, I would have gone on for a long time saying there's likelihood that he would be put in the game. There's reasons why he could be put in the game. And when it comes to Dragon Quest character Hero and Banjo-Kazooie, a lot of us were already saying that those two were really likely already. A lot of us were saying those two made the most sense. With Banjo-Kazooie, it's a good thing they didn't wait any longer because it was almost obvious that they would do Banjo-Kazooie because the love between Nintendo and Microsoft was already through the roof. And, I mean, the fact that Cuphead was already on the Switch at this point, it's like Jesus Christ, Third-party studios that put their games on Xbox are already allowed to put their games on Nintendo Switch. So Rare is technically owned by Microsoft, but they're a third party company. You know, they make their own games, they have their own properties. And Microsoft's like, yeah, Nintendo, you can borrow Rare. You can make Banjo and Smash. So, I mean, that's important. And so a lot of us were already predicting these characters. So Mii Fighter Costume Theory was the idea was, do these two characters work within the prediction? And they do. It all checks out clear, because the idea of Mii Fighter Costume Theory is that not there was no past Mii Fighters in a Konami game, and so therefore Konami might not get a new DLC character. And the funny thing is, I always like to say Simon Belmont kind of is like, he was like what to expect from DLC characters, because now that we have two in the game, we can see that DLC fighters have stages that are really love letters to their games they're from. They have plenty of songs. Of course, Castlevania has the most songs of like any of the third-party games, which is kind of crazy. Stickers from all sorts of different things involving that franchise. Representation from other games, not just from the same game. With Joker, we got representation for Persona 3 and 4, and with Hero, it's the same thing. We got multiple Dragon Quest games. It's not like they only represented Dragon Quest 11. They represented like multiple different Dragon Quest games, especially in the Final Smash, where I think it represents every single Dragon Quest game. But basically, just to go back to the point real quick, the idea is that Konami might not get a Mii Fighter at all, or which means they might not get DLC at all, because they already have so much representation with Castlevania, and Snake is also brought back, and Bomberman was included as a assist trophy, meaning Konami kind of has their three biggest franchises represented here. You could talk about maybe something else, but it would be silly to include a different Konami franchise when you have those three already represented. And then there's, Namco, who, for some reason, Namco just doesn't get more characters. They got Pac-Man, and Sakurai already said he doesn't want to do Heihachi, but I don't think that means Heihachi is off the table, because he said for Smash 4 that he didn't want to do Heihachi, but he says a lot of stuff during Smash 4 where he said he didn't want to do Ridley, for example. Well, we got Ridley eventually. So, it's not like Heihachi is completely deleted off the table. Like, he still has a chance, but will we get Heihachi? I don't know. And if it's not Heihachi, will it be Lloyd, another RPG protagonist with swords? Let's face it. How many times is Sakurai going to do that? Now, I don't think that just because there's other characters that might be similar, they'll have no chance. But I do think that Sakurai likes to make new characters as creative as possible. I think there's a reason why Joker plays the way he plays, and there's a reason why Hero from Dragon Quest plays the way he plays. And I think it's not completely just to represent that game perfectly. Yes, that's a part of it. It is a part of that, but it's another factor here is to introduce new gameplay mechanics with a character. It seems like the rules, like fan-made rules, don't exactly apply anymore. So, just because you think a character moveset should work a certain way, or a character's moveset should, apply a certain way, I'm able to guess the characters right. Like, I'm able to guess something like Joker correct. I'm able to guess Hero. I thought Hero had a good chance, basically ever since we translated that Brave is like the Japanese word for brave is what we call like hero in the Japanese version of the game. So like hero and brave the word in Japanese can translate from either hero or brave, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. And it kind of makes it seem like people figured out that was like everyone's first big guess. Whenever we saw Brave, that was like everyone's first big guess that it was Hero, like from Dragon Quest, like aka a Dragon Quest character like Erdrick or something. So, sometimes the most simplest and obvious, assumption is actually the answer, and with Hero, it was totally the answer. So, that's the thing, right? So, I'm able to predict some of these characters, and I was able to predict Banjo. That's a character who I thought had the most likelihood of any other character. I really thought Banjo, he had even more chance than like Hero from Dragon Quest, for example. Like, I just thought it was so obvious Banjo was going to be put in. And so those were the characters I was able to guess, and now all the characters I was really able to guess, Joker, Hero, and Banjo, I can't guess anymore. This is where I start to stumble. So this is where I need something like Mii Costume Theory to hold down the fort. So Namco characters, I don't know why we don't get any new Namco characters. But we did get a new Square Enix character and a new Sega character. Now, I also kind of predicted they'd do a new third party that hasn't had any representation, and it makes the most sense with Rare because, it seemed like Microsoft was going to get a character in. And with Rare, it's not a 100% total first party character like Master Chief, which might be pushing it too far, but instead, so we get a third party character like that. Even though it's technically like first party owned by Microsoft. Anyway, the rest of Mii Costume Theory kind of relies on the fact that Capcom had a ton of Mii Fighter content in the first Smash game. Or, well, Smash 4, the first Smash game that had Mii Fighters. It's like there was a ton of Mega Man content for Smash 4. A ton of Mega Man costumes. You could basically play as all the versions of Mega Man. You could also play as Zero and Proto Man. And, now these other characters... And, I definitely want to be able to play as Proto Man again. That's really fun. And if Capcom gets characters in, it'll probably be more like how Sega did it, where Sega will have no problem advertising Tails and Knuckles while they're also advertising all this Persona content. So I really think that they'll have no problem. But the difference is that there's a ton of Mega Man content. So we might literally just see Proto Man and Mega Man X. Kind of like how there's only Tails and Knuckles than the new content. We might see like a ton of whatever other IP Capcom has, and then only like Proto Man and Mega Man X get to be playable Mii Fighters. But I don't care. As long as the Mega Man stuff comes back. And then when it comes to, the fourth character, it could possibly be Namco or Konami, but, the idea is that there was Namco character Mii Fighter costumes that were in Smash 4, like Heihachi and like Lloyd. So it would make a lot of sense if those came back, but that would mean another Namco character would have to be introduced in the game, and it would probably be one of them. It would probably be Heihachi or Lloyd. And when you think about that, that's when Mii Costume Theory starts to fall apart. Because there's really not many Mii costumes from Namco to make it worth it, and there's not very many Mii costumes from Capcom. Well, and there's too many Mii Fighter costumes from Capcom to make it work. So I definitely think that Capcom will get another character in the game, especially when you look at Sega and how the fact that they got 3 characters that are playable now between Sonic, Bayonetta, and and Joker. I think that if you're a third-party company and you were here for Smash 4, part of negotiating that your character would come back might be involving the fact that you get a DLC character, because I'm pretty sure third-party companies make more money off of the DLC purchases than they do including a character in the game. Unlike Namco, who I'm pretty sure gets a cut from every game sold just the same as how Nintendo does, versus just, getting, whatever. So for them, they don't really need the triple threat, or the double threat, I should really say, of getting money from the game, getting money from Pac-Man being in the game, and then also getting money from a DLC character. I don't think Namco's interested in that. I don't think Nintendo needs to negotiate that with them. I think they're more than happy to help work on the game already, and a lot of their characters might not be fitting for Smash also. So I think that that's the thing. This is where Mii Fighter Costume Theory, something that I had a lot of faith in, starts to fall apart. But I do want to bring up one little subject about Square Enix. There was no Mii Fighter costumes for Final Fantasy VII in Smash 4. There was none. There was the Chocobo hat, but that's just Final Fantasy in general. It really wasn't to represent Final Fantasy VII. And there was Geno, which again does not represent Final Fantasy VII. It more so represents Mario. It definitely does not. You could argue it represents Square Enix in a small way, but Geno is literally in Smash already. in the form of a spirit. He's not an assist trophy, sadly. He's not even that. He's just a spirit. He's also a character icon in multiplayer. To me, this 100% deconfirms him, and people who think he's going to happen definitely need to keep dreaming, especially as Hero is already out. Now, none of these things, sadly, will 100% deconfirm the character, but I think that it's like 99% deconfirms the character, and I think that if Geno is going to be in the game, I don't know why they'd wait this long for DLC. I know a lot of people see Banjo, and that kind of sparks interest in Geno again, but I think Geno fans might have to wait for another game. And just so we can get back to the topic of the Square Enix Mii Fighter costumes. Yeah, they could have easily did a Mii Fighter for Barret, easily did a Mii Fighter for Tifa. I mean, as well as Vincent. I mean, there's characters who have guns and characters who are brawlers in Final Fantasy. They also could have done other main protagonists, like maybe for a sword Mii Fighter costume, they could have put in Squall from Final Fantasy VIII or Tidus from Final Fantasy X. They even could have used characters like Terra from Final Fantasy VI or Cecil from Final Fantasy IV. I mean, it would have been easy peasy to include those characters like a Final Fantasy Dissidia style Mii Fighter costume selection, but they didn't. They went with just purely Cloud and Chocobo hats and Geno. So I think that Nintendo has partial rights to Geno or something, and I don't think that Square Enix wanted to negotiate anything else for Final Fantasy VII other than Cloud, and I don't know why. But when it came to Dragon Quest, the people behind Dragon Quest seemed more than happy to include all of that content. And we got a lot of Dragon Quest content in the game, but it has nothing to do with Final Fantasy. So all the Mii Fighter stuff was purely from Dragon Quest. It seems like when it comes to Square Enix, they don't like the idea of mixing their properties together. They really want to keep them all separated. Dragon Quest is its own thing that's different from Final Fantasy. And yeah, I don't know why. I think for some Kingdom Hearts fans that might seem crazy and so different from what they're used to, because Final Fantasy is so mixed into Kingdom Hearts. But you have to remember that Square Enix does more than just Final Fantasy. The reason why Final Fantasy is so mixed in with Kingdom Hearts is because of the creator of Kingdom Hearts working on various Final Fantasy games. And the reason why, there's no Final Fantasy content in Kingdom Hearts 3, I think is also a part of that. I think that's also partially represented that Square Enix wants to keep things separated. They want to keep all that stuff separated. Unless it comes to Final Fantasy Brave versus EX, whatever that game's called. That mobile game, because characters from Nier are in it, like 2B and 9S are in that game, as well as Sora. So I don't understand. But Square Enix doesn't really care about when it comes to mobile games. They love doing crossovers. But when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 3 and Smash, they hate crossovers for some reason. But hey, this is the first and only game where Cloud exists in the same game as any character from Dragon Quest, and Cloud can fight the characters from Dragon Quest. So hey, thank you, Smash, for making the crossover that Square Enix could make, but they're not going to. So I think Square Enix is just really picky and strange and fickle when it comes to the content for Smash, and I think that's why it kind of ruins the Mii Fighter costume theory a little bit. So basically, we're in the same position. Now, I believe if Capcom gets in, it will be the same as Sega, where they get multiple Mii Fighters from Smash 4 DLC that just get to come back. I definitely think they'll do that, because there's too many fans of Mega Man and too many fans who will gladly pay money for that DLC. It'd be absolutely stupid for them to not include Mega Man Mii Fighter content. If they're gonna include Sega like Sonic Mii Fighter content, there's way more fans that would buy Mega Man stuff than they would Sonic stuff. Even people who don't play Mega Man games usually end up liking Mega Man for his design alone. I mean, anytime I play Marvel vs. Capcom with someone or anyone, or show them Mega Man at Smash even, women will tell me he's cute and they like his design. Some will say it's cool, he looks like Astro Boy. Other people will say that they always liked Mega Man but never got into the games. Like, no one hates Mega Man. People like Mega Man. That's the thing. Like, even if you don't play Mega Man, most people at least respect it, especially people who are into sprite art and stuff like that. People like Mega Man. he has a good design, and the game's sprite artists and designers just does a really good job with him. Like he's made on purpose to look appealing, and he does look appealing. He's like a perfect cartoon robot boy. He's awesome. So people are definitely going to want to buy like Proto Man stuff and Mega Man X stuff and Zero stuff. If you have the option, they're definitely going to do it. Especially stuff like Zero, who fits in as a sword Mii fighter so perfectly. Like it like the moves even work. So like yeah, include him please. And even Zero is so popular that he got to be included in as an assist trophy, which is really cool because it makes a lot of sense because Zero, even though he's playable in some of the X games, he's also known as the character who pops in the early X games who protects you. So having him pop in like that is really damn cool. And also people now know him more for how insanely good he is in Marvel vs. Capcom games because he's in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So it's, including Zero in Smash is a really good move. People actually know who he is. Even people who don't play Mega Man know who he is thanks to Marvel vs. Capcom. So yeah, so let's see here. But here's my thing. I think that Capcom is extremely likely to get a character in Smash. I think that it's so incredibly likely, and I definitely think it'll be a Resident Evil character if it's going to happen. I think that there's been way too much Resident Evil games being ported to the Switch. I think it's no coincidence. When back in March or whatever, they showed content for Dragon Quest coming to Switch. They showed Dragon Quest games are coming to Switch, and that Nintendo is, really happy about Dragon Quest 11 coming to Switch and stuff like that. And then later on, and then they also talked about Dragon Quest Builders coming to Switch and all this stuff. And they made a big deal about Dragon Quest coming to Switch. And then later on during E3, they showed Dragon Quest in Smash. And during that same E3, for some reason, this last E3, they made a segment about playing Resident Evil in a spooky mansion, in a spooky house. And they said, hey look, all these Resident Evil games are on Switch. Isn't that cool? Really? Really? You took a time out of E3 to show off a little demo video? To show off a game that's not even new? Just to show that you can play Resident Evil on the Switch now? Really? I'm sorry guys, but and not only that, but Devil May Cry has come to Switch as well. This is just ridiculous. This has definitely gotten to the point where Capcom is going to get some sort of another character in Smash. Like Nintendo and Capcom are just on too good of terms. And the fact that every Resident Evil game, including like Resident Evil 6 and 5 are on the Switch, that's just bananas. Like it's happening. Like I'm almost positive it's happening. And to anyone saying that the moveset would not work or it would be bad, I tried to explain a crazy makeshift moveset that sounds like something so crazy that Sakurai would do, which would be like giving you the option of when you hold down B, you just point and aim your gun, like in the Resident Evil games, and then you can point your direction up or down or stay in the middle, which would let you like plant your feet and not move, but you could shoot and aim where you shoot. No character in the game is like that, so it could work. But the funny thing is about these DLC characters is that nobody guessed how Joker would play. Nobody guessed how Hero would play. Everyone's been dead wrong. And that's what I was saying earlier. I'm able to guess what characters can make it in the game. I'm unable to guess what characters, how they'll play. I'm completely off in deciding how these characters will actually work in gameplay. So, whatever we get, I'm sure it will work perfectly fine. And the fun thing is that if they include a character like Jill from Resident Evil, they could easily take inspiration from her Resident Evil 5 style and give her flashy moves, sort of like how she has in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. However, I don't think they're going to do that because what Sakurai seems to like to do is include looks from like their classic appearances. It doesn't really apply to Joker because he literally only has one game. It more so applies to characters like Simon Belmont and Hero, Sonic and Mega Man. They could have easily fucked up Sonic, but they're like, no, no, no. He plays like how classic Sonic should, plus having like homing attack. They easily could have made Mega Man have this weird new design, and they're like, no, no, no. We're gonna stay as close as possible to all the 8-bit versions of Mega Man as we can. And yeah, he definitely represents 8-bit Mega Man. The Smash versions of characters are never actually super duper accurate. They're always a little bit off. They're always like their own versions of characters. They're like very, yes, they pay very close homage to the originals, but they're always very different. I think Luigi is a perfect example of that, where Luigi is so bizarre and weird in Smash. But at least Mario and Luigi have their actual voice actors. So many other characters are just like weird for no reason. Like a lot of people complain that Donkey Kong and King K. Rool don't speak with the same voices that they have in their own games. Like Donkey Kong is supposed to have this high pitched voice where he's like Yahoo and stuff like that, and K. Rool also has like a voice too, but instead K. Rool just has crocodile noises and Donkey Kong just has gorilla noises. Just because. So yeah. What are we gonna get in Smash as far as like if they implement a Resident Evil character? I have no idea how he'll or he or she will play, but I do know that they'll have most of their looks probably based off of their classic designs. And so if they do Jill, there's a high chance that she'll have two costumes, one of her Resident Evil 1 style and one of her Resident Evil 3 style. If they do Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil 2, there'll probably be one style from Resident Evil 2 and one style from Resident Evil 4. If they do Chris, probably be more so based off his Resident Evil 1 appearance than his Resident Evil 5 appearance. If he'll have a costume, it might be his Resident Evil 5 appearance. It'll be kind of like Ike at that point, where he's kind of skinny and then kind of big, the next costume. But they also could do even Claire Redfield. I just don't think they will. But all four of the main four characters have all had their own game. Because Claire also had Code Veronica, so they all have had their own solo game. Even though Chris's game included Sheva, and if they do a final Smash for these characters, I could easily see them doing it where a bunch of the other Resident Evil protagonists run on screen and all start firing together. Or if it's just Jill or Chris, it could be all the Stars characters. Though I could easily see them throw Claire and Leon in as well, just because. So I would really love if they do this. I would really love to see any Resident Evil character. I'm rooting for either Jill or Leon, because those are my two favorites. I'm really hoping they do an Echo Fighter for them, but it might end up being like, I don't think we're getting any more Echo Fighters realistically. I don't think it's a dead in the waters idea. I don't think it's impossible, but I don't think it's realistic to expect. And I think that we'll probably just get costumes like how Hero was done. But yeah, man, Mii Fighter costume theory, is it dead? I don't think it's dead, but the thing is that I don't think that it makes a lot of sense to expect the last character to be a Namco character. It could be anything. And so, yes, while Mii costume theory actually does still apply for me when it comes to Capcom, it never really applied for Namco or Konami. So yeah, which is why we had a free space, and a lot of people assumed that Microsoft would be in the free space. We could still see Mortal Kombat get representation. We could still see just a crazy absolute pick, like maybe something from Pokemon or Fire Emblem, though I really don't think it's going to be Fire Emblem at this point. I think if they were going to announce a Fire Emblem character, they would have done it around the time Fire Emblem came out. Though, as someone who's playing the new Fire Emblem game currently, they could easily make a character because he has a very unique weapon that's like exclusive unique weapon for this main character. So it's kind of sad that we aren't going to get a Fire Emblem character, but I really do love Fire Emblem as a franchise. But I could easily see us getting a Pokemon character, and we might get that sort of reveal trailer later. But I could easily see us actually getting a Nintendo DLC character, or something else. I definitely don't think every character has to be third party anymore. Because with Pokemon and Fire Emblem, They could do all the spirits based solely off of the new game. They could do all the Mii Fighter stuff solely based off the new games. Though I don't think Pokemon makes the most sense for Mii Fighter costumes. We could potentially see anything. So, what we'll get for the final, character, I don't know. It's tricky. But normally, new Pokemon characters aren't introduced as DLC. Normally, they're introduced in a new game. So I'm gonna go on a limb and say the final character will still be third party, but what it will be, I have no earthly idea. Back months and months ago, I was saying Master Chief, please Master Chief, or I was saying Sora, or saying, anything like that. Those characters aren't completely out of question. However, I don't think they're as likely as some other characters. So will it be Scorpion from Mortal Kombat? Please, please be Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. I would just literally, I would be so happy. Whatever the fourth character will be, or the fifth character will be insane. Whoever the fifth character will be pure insanity. I almost promise and guarantee it. The fifth character is just so unpredictable at this point. I really don't think it'll be Lloyd or Heihachi. I really can't think of a single Konami character it could be. I have no idea who it could be, and that's what's actually exciting. I want predictability so I can inform people, and I want us to be able to come up with logical hypotheses, but we can't form a logical hypothesis if we don't have any real evidence. So what will this last character be? It could seriously be anyone. But I'm really, really hoping we end up with something just bananas and really cool. I think, again, Scorpion would probably be the most exciting one for me personally. I don't think any anime character is going to get in. I don't think I don't know, maybe Master Chief. I think Sora is back on the table, but not really. I think, Hero kind of makes Sora impossible. But yeah, like I said, I don't think Heihachi's off the table. But I don't think it'll be Lloyd. I really don't think it'll be Lloyd. But I don't think Heihachi's off the table. But at the same time, I don't know if they're gonna do that. I just don't know. Whoever this final character is, Nintendo and Sakurai are probably madmen for choosing it. And whatever we get, I have no idea. But and by the way, it's not Shantae. It's not Shantae. I think I'm going to end the video here just saying it's not Shantae. So, this has been 30 minutes of me talking about Mii Fighter Costume Theory and possible other DLC characters. Like I said, Mii Fighter Costume Theory was a theory that I enjoyed, that I thought had a lot of credibility, because it basically proved that Dragon Quest and possibly a Capcom character would definitely be getting into Smash. And now that Dragon Quest is in the game, and Mii Fighter Costume Theory is kind of being called into question because past Mii Fighter costumes didn't get included in with Square Enix, we know that characters aren't going to get put in just because of past Mii Fighter content. However, again, it's a very simple pattern that I like simple because that seems to make the most logical sense for why a character could get put in. But I think the theory is done. I think it's dead. However, I still use it to explain part of why Capcom might get in. Problem is, it's a theory that only really applies for Capcom and Sega. It doesn't really apply for anyone else. It just doesn't. So, especially if they do it for Tekken or for Lloyd. If Lloyd or Heihachi get in, they're probably not going to do a Mii Fighter costume for Lloyd and Heihachi. So, yeah, that's the thing. It really only applied to Sega and Capcom. So, while I think Capcom's getting a character in the game. I think no fucking doubt about it. Capcom's getting a fucking character in the game. I don't think Mii Fighter Theory has anything to do with anything else besides just Capcom at this point. So, yeah, I'm going to end this right here. Here's hoping the next two characters are fucking dope. If it is a Resident Evil character, to me that's fucking dope. I would be extremely happy with that. If it's another Capcom character, I'll probably also be really happy with that. I love Capcom. And if it's not Capcom, and that means it has to be something crazy and wild, and I'll most likely be very happy about it. So, hey man, even the Minecraft Steve fans can rejoice. He's not completely deleted yet. So, yeah, I'm gonna end this video here and just say once again, it's not Shantae. It's not Shantae. All right, see you guys.